Good morning, friends, and welcome back for a new week of work in our engineering and coding classes. So I'm excited to work on something different with you, try to mix it up. We're working on all coding this week. So you've noticed that last Friday and on Monday, you were working to complete lessons 1 through 5 on code.org. Many of you are further than that, and that's why I wanted you to feel like you had a little extra time to go check out Scratch and work on some different pieces of coding. We have many different ranges of coders in this class at the moment. We have some people that are brand new beginning to coding. Some people would be novice, or maybe they have a little bit of experience with coding. And we also have some advanced coders. So I want you to understand that so far we've done basics with coding so people could feel like they understood a basic understanding of what we need to be doing on other forms of coding other than code.org. However, some people have already have experience with Scratch and would like to be doing advanced work on Scratch, and that's fine. You just need to be sharing in your posts what specifically you're working on. So I'm going to be making a range of video tutorials this week. Today's video tutorial is sharing with you about submissions for class and grading for coding. I will also be sharing code.org and Scratch today. But if you are doing different things that are not specific to what I'm doing in my videos, that is fine, but you need to be sharing specific pictures, data, and details about what it is that you're really spending your 20 to 25 minutes each day on coding. So let me refresh the understanding of what we're working on code.org. You'll see here that I'm already signed in. You need to make sure you're signed in. Some people are telling me that their work is not being saved. That's because you can come to code.org without being signed in. So even if I'm not signed in, if I go and search through, there's work that I can do without even being signed in. You need to make sure that you're going to sign in. You're clicking sign in with Google. There's also a class code. If you don't have that class code, press pause in the video and notice that you can type that class code in to register for the Express course. I'm signing in with Google. Now that I'm signed in, my name is in the top corner, and I can see my courses that are under my dashboard. Now, some of my past students, if you're working inside of coding class quarter 3, that's not what we should be signed into. I should have everyone working in 4th marking period, Express course. There should be 94 people signed in. 82 is really good. If you're one of those 82, great job, continue your work. You'll click into Express course and continue your work. Now, right now, I'm signed in for me. If I was grading myself, I would have to give myself probably a 70 because I'm missing lesson 4 and lesson 5. We should have had lesson 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 completed by the end of Monday. If you have not done that, take your time and make sure that that's completed because this is a project grade. And that project grade will affect your grade in a larger fashion than all of the other weekly grades that I put on Genesis. Because this is a continuation throughout this quarter, you need to make sure that you're working to keep up with the work for this class. So on code.org, make sure you're up to lesson 5. I can click on every single student and find out exactly where you are in your work. So if I click on a student, I can go and see the work that people are completing and easily give you that grade that you've earned. So thank you to those people that are staying on task with what you're doing. This week, when you're working on your post, if you're doing code.org, tell me what lesson or lessons you've completed. Okay, tell me that if you're working on code.org. Now, like I said, there are people in many different locations and understandings of coding. So if you've completed the code.org lesson 1 to 5, you might be working on Scratch. You need to tell me the project that you're designing, the game that you're making, or the tutorial that you're following in order to make the work that you want to do on Scratch. I will be sharing a basic tutorial on Scratch in this video, as well as an advanced tutorial on Scratch in this video. Please stay tuned for that information. Hey friends, so if you're choosing to work on code.org this week because you're either new to coding, you haven't done these lessons, or you'd like to learn more about loops, you need to complete lessons 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now that's throughout the span of this week, so you need to spread out that work and share with me the work that you're completing as you work to complete those lessons on code.org. If you'd rather work on Scratch, I will give a basic tutorial now, and then followed will be the advanced tutorial for those people that would like to work on creating games in Scratch. Now, I'd like to take this time to share with you that I've been very happy to work with at Glen Meadow with 6th and 7th graders. Next year, the school district has asked me to go back to 1st grade, so I will be in a 1st grade classroom. I was figuring it would be fantastic if people could create games that would help me in the classroom and at home with instruction for 1st graders. So I will give tips about how you could think about doing that, but think about their very basic information like letters, numbers, colors, daily routines like how to get dressed or how to do work in school. It will be a very fun project if you might consider 1st graders as people that you're making games for. Now, let's get started with a basic video tutorial for how to code with Scratch, and we're going to making a clicker game. The first thing I need to share with you is that some people are coming right to Scratch and clicking on Create. You need to always, regardless, every time you go to Scratch, sign in. This is the only page that you can sign in. And if you start coding too early, you cannot save your project. So always click on Sign In, find where your username and password hopefully have been saved, and click Sign In. Now that I'm signed in, my name will appear in the top corner. Now that my name has appeared, I'm not working on exploring this week. If you want to do that on your own time, I encourage you to, but that does not count as time for this class. We are working on creating with code. So now inside of Create, and I'm on a Facebook page for teachers with Scratch. They've said that the page is working slow. A lot of kids around the country are using Scratch all day long. So again, you need to make sure you're doing the work to be signed in so that your work continually gets saved. For instance, do not have an untitled project. When you are sharing your project later in the week or throughout the week, I do not want to see untitled projects. Please maybe use your last name or just your first name. Don't use your first and last name. Maybe the type of game that it is. Again, you could be making games for 1st graders, so a nice title that would be enticing would be cool for the kids to see, like Clicker Game, and I'm going to end it with my last name. Now, if you want to put in Clicker Game, that's fine, but you might want to do an alphabet clicker game, or you might want to do a colors clicker game, or you might want to do a school supplies. Whatever it is that you'd like to do in a clicker game, you could title it as such. This is the basic video, so this is just going to be a balloon clicker game so we can learn the basics of making one. So now that I have a title, I could start coding here myself. But what I'd like to do is go to tutorials. And again, for those advanced coders, you could be choosing a different tutorial and making a different game. And that's fine, but share what it is that you choose. Now I'm going to scroll through and look for clicker game. Find the balloons, make a clicker game. So here for Make a Clicker Game, I'm going to follow the directions as I change the work on my page. You can do that with me, or you can take time to watch the tutorial on your own instead of watching me follow the steps with you.
You can use Scratch to make a clicker game. Let's pick a sprite. I'll choose the balloon. Let's make it.
So the first thing they did was choose a balloon. So I'm going to get rid of my sprite, and I'm going to choose the balloon. Now you can choose something different, but it's important to note that because I'm doing the basics video, I want to follow the tutorial exactly how it's stated, and then I can go back and do others if I want to later in the week. Again, notice that I told you the page can start to get a little choppy, and if you're working and you've done a lot of significant coding, you might want to click the Save Now button and reduce any stress you have about losing your project.
It play a sound when I click it. To add a score.
So we are going to add a sound. Now, what we're going to look into are events. So events are how we start our code. Code just doesn't start unless you have one of these yellow codes. Think about it like Lego pieces. See that nothing connects into that top portion? That has to be your start. Now, you have a range of choices to choose with that start. We're not going to do the green flag. It told us to choose when sprite is clicked. So now that I chose when sprite is clicked, I can look on the side and this says sounds. And it says play pop sound. Test that out and make sure that you can do that.
Let's first create a variable called score. Now we can add the change variable block to our code.
Now, you might need to pause and go back a few times for that, but you could follow along with me. I'm going to go to variables, and we need to make a variable. So you need to click on this and make a variable and call that score. Now that I have the variable score, it should show up in my list of available options. And now I need to decide what it is. Am I setting the score? Nope, I'm changing my variable by 1. And instead of it being my variable, I can choose score that I've already made before. So now when I click the balloon, the score should go up. Cool.
Click the green arrow to see this code again and explore what else you might add to your game.
So that's the tutorial. I could click the arrow to see in detail some of the steps that they did. But now the project's not done. It's given me the basics to work with. So now I'm going to do some more basics with you. So let's ask ourselves what it is that we want to do. Do we want to have one balloon to click, or do we want to have multiple balloons to click? And I think that would be a good idea as well. Let's make multiple balloons. So this is my first balloon. I need to go and get more balloons. And instead of a blue balloon, let's create a different color for that balloon. So now we're not going to go to code, we're going to go to costumes. And now since I've selected this balloon, I can change the color. And I'll change it to purple, and then the outline is purple as well. Oops. And now Now the balloon is purple as well. So I can also notice that they give me other options over here if I'd like to have different balloons. So I could just change colors that way if that's easier for you. So now I have a balloon, and let's add another balloon. Again, I go to costumes and I can make it pink now. So add your balloons, decide how many you want to do. So for those friends that are new to coding on Scratch, I want you to take a break from the video and spend time finalizing your work on Scratch for your balloon clicker game. Notice that I have showed you that I have done some additional coding with my balloons. So you could also add backgrounds. You could also make your balloons do things when you click them. So when I click the yellow balloon, it spins. I did that by going to motion and adding in different movements. The blue balloon goes to a random position, and the pink balloon changes the backdrop and glides to a different space. So you might want to play around with that. I will show you that more tomorrow. You don't need to complete your game today, but you do need to be started with your code for the balloon to add a score and for your balloon to do something when clicked. Make sure that you're saving your project and that you have a title for it so you can go back into your files tomorrow to find it and continue the work that you're doing. Please make sure that you have something to share because this week is built on coding on Scratch or sharing your work on code.org. Thanks, friends. Hey friends, so if you're continuing to watch from the previous videos, this is going to be helpful for additional work that you do on your games. If you're an advanced coder and you're watching this, you're going to need to make sure that when you're signed in, you click on the file folder so you can get into my stuff or your stuff and choose the project that you're continuing to work on, or you need to make a new project, and I've already explained how to do that. But I've already worked on a project before. You're going to find that throughout this week, all of you are going to be opening up projects you're continuing. You need to click on the file folder, find your project, and then click See Inside. So now I'm back. Now this is not a maze. This is apple picking. And this is mine. So I'm going to title it. Now, my purpose for this game is it's still a clicker game, but it's going to be a little bit more than just balloons. So I want this to be a clicker game that collects score for the apple being clicked, and the apple will fall to the ground. So this is a good activity for counting and for clicking and for computer usage. I hope that you can choose something that's first grade related or choose your own, and that's fine to do your own idea. But if it's first grade related, it could be colors, alphabet, it could be objects for getting dressed in the morning, or very basic routines that first graders need to know. So either way, you can watch me with coding. Otherwise, I know that you're advanced. You should be working and sharing the content that you're continuing to build upon. But here's my apple game. So right now, when the apple's clicked, the score goes up. So I'm going to make some changes. Like my apple needs to be a little smaller. Okay. And now maybe I want this apple to be in many different places. Okay. So this is my basic game. For the kids to count up. Now, in order to reset the score, I made this button already. I'm going to go to my controls. my variables, and when the green flag is pressed, oh, I want to set my score to 0. Okay, so oh, when sprite is clicked, because that's the reset. Okay, so now my score is going up, and then that's my reset score. So I've been working to make changes, but I don't want to do too much in one day. So I'm happy with what I've done on my coding. I've built a background with a tree. I've set a reset button, and I've had an idea for my game. So if you're an advanced coder, you need to come up with your idea for your game, get the basics started, and then save your work so that you can come back tomorrow and add more. I think tomorrow I'm going to animate these apples so that they drop down, and I might have their colors change so that there's different prompts that tell kids what to click as time goes on. But you need to be working to share your work on Schoology, but continue to do your coding on Scratch or code.org. Thanks, friends.